My name is Darrin Rockcole, and I'm a meteorologist. That's kind of a big word, isn't it? What does a meteorologist do? Any idea? What do I do? They check out the weather. I check out the weather. Anything else I might do? I've got tools. I've got all sorts of tools. My office has a bunch of computers in them. We use thermometers. That's a tool I use. I use satellite pictures that come from space. That's kind of a tool. And I have a radar that can look up in the clouds to see where there's rain and snow. That's a tool. Anything else I might do?
You say the weather on the news.
You know, me as a meteorologist, I do say the weather on the news, but there are actually a lot of meteorologists, and some predict the weather at the airport. Some work in big offices and predict the weather for big companies. So the weather is kind of important to a lot of people. So there's a lot of meteorologists. You just see a few of us that are on TV. Anything else that I do?
Are you on Channel 10?
I am on Channel 10 from Lansing. What else do I do?
How do you know what the weather is?
That is a good question. We will do that next. I'll tell you first, though, that one other thing that's really important to my job is math. Do you know? Math. Did he say math? And I'll leave you so you look at them up close. But part of my job is to look at numbers. And we get these numbers with math, and they help us predict or make a guess, because my job is to make a guess about what the weather's going to be the next couple of days. So numbers and math are really important to my job. And I look at things that look like this. I look at things that kind of look confusing, look like little maps. Those also are made with numbers and math. So that's like a really, really important part of my job. Now, what was your question that you had for me? How do we know what the weather looks like? Well, we have the help of a few things. One is that airports all over the country, every hour, they take what the weather is, and they measure what the temperature is, and how many clouds are in the sky, and if it's raining or snowing, and they share all that information with people like me, so I can go in my office every day and we can see what the weather's like in different places. But we have the help of satellite pictures. You've seen those on TV before. We get one of those every half an hour, and we have the help of our radar, and that can help us see where there's rain and snow. So I have all those different tools that help you know what's going on.
Do you know when the tornado comes?
We do sometimes, but you know, tornadoes, they're pretty hard to predict, and still we get most of our information about tornadoes and where they are by people who actually spot them. They're trained to look for them, and they share that information with me. And there's really special people who do things like that. You've got a question.
I watch it every day.
You do? Well, thank you for watching. You've got a question.
What do your tools look like?
You know, my tools, nowadays, my tools are all in computers. At one time, I used to have thermometers hanging out the window and, you know, different sorts of tools. But now, every one of my tools comes into my office on a computer. I got about 12 computers in my office. And some of them, we get things like look at the temperature, and some of them, the weather maps you see on TV, I sit there and I draw the weather maps on computers too. So I do a lot of stuff with computers now. Yes?
How do you know what the weather is?
How do I know what it is today? Well, I can see what's going on outside right now. And then I have the help of our good friends, numbers and math, and maps like this, and big computers that do a prediction or a guess, and I look at what all of them have to say and come up with what I'm going to talk about for the day. And I talk to a lot of people with the weather. Some live where you live. Some people live on the other side of the state, and they see me talking about the weather. So I kind of have to come up with a weather story for the day that makes sense for everybody. And some days like today especially, that's kind of hard to do, because the weather's going to be different everywhere.
What does your office look like?
My office, I got two offices. I got one office that's on TV. And so if you watch Channel 10 News and we go to do the weather, you see part of my office. And there's bright lights in there because it's in a TV studio, and there's computers, and it looks really, really nice. And then I got a second office that doesn't look as nice, and that's kind of like behind what we show on TV, and that's got cinder block walls, and it's not the cleanest place in the world, and that's kind of the second part of my office where a lot of my computers sit. So I got two different places. I got one that looks pretty, and I got one that's kind of dirty. I like the pretty one better. Yes?
How could the people are watching your kite channel when you're not there?
How do people watch when I'm not there? When I'm not there, there are other people who do the weather.
Oh.
Yeah. And when we do the news, that's actually live. So we're in the studio doing it when people watch the news. But right now, I'm actually doing the weather on another TV station that just shows the weather from Channel 10. And obviously, I'm here talking to you, and I'm playing there. We recorded that ahead of time. But the news is usually live. Yes.
Is it going to be snowy out tomorrow?
You know, that's what everybody wants to know, and I think it is going to be snowy starting later today and tonight. And I wouldn't doubt that you could have enough snow that maybe you wouldn't have to come to school tomorrow. But you got to watch and listen, and they'll let you know for sure in the morning, but there's a chance. Yes.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is, I would think, blue. I like blue. What's your favorite color?
Pink.
You like pink. That's a good color, too.
Your favorite
Someone
color
in
is
pink has got a question.
My dad and mom know it's gonna be snowy tonight. We're gonna have a snowstorm.
Yeah, later today and tonight. Yeah, I think we're going to have a snowstorm.
And we're asking questions.
Yes.
Your favorite
You got a
color?
question?
No, ask a question.
Uh-oh. He's shy now. He forgot his question. You're not shy, are you?
What's your favorite color?
What's your question? We'll come back to you, okay? You've got a question.
How do you know what the weather looks like today?
Today, I can have the help of satellite pictures and things that help me see what it's like when we're doing the weather. And then we use math to help us predict what we think it's going to be in the future. But I can look out there right now and tell you it's kind of cloudy right now, isn't it?
That's what we said.
Yes, you did. And later on today, it's probably going to be, well, you got it taped down, it'll probably be like that. And tomorrow at this time, it'll probably be like that.
And we count always.
You count always, too. Well, that's pretty good.
Do 100. Yeah.
Who's got the next question? Yes.
Wait. How, if you're not, and you gotta go through it out, either do the weather.
There, at the TV station I work at, there are 4 people who do the weather. So if I'm not there, one of the other 3 are there to do the weather. So there's lots of different options. You've got a question.
How do you know which rainy?
Well, we got the help of radar, and radar sends a little electric beam up into the clouds, and if that beam bounces off a raindrop or a snowflake, it comes back to the radar, which looks like a big soccer ball, and it plots that on the computer screen, and we can see where it's raining or snowing. So radar helps us out a lot.
How do you know it's foggy?
Well, first of all, do you know what fog is?
It's
What is fog?
the fog, that little air that you can't see in.
Yeah, it's air you can't see. And you know what fog really is? Fog is a cloud that's down at the ground. So if you were flying in an airplane up through the clouds, and you kind of see the clouds outside the window, when we have fog, all that is a cloud down by the ground. So clouds are just made out of little water droplets, or what they call water vapor, and that's what fog is. And fog sometimes can be pretty tricky stuff, because it might be foggy here, and it might not be foggy across the street. But it tends to happen during the early morning hours, just before the sun comes up. Yes.
Every day I watch Sonic Underground, and Sonia has a cool piano. Whenever she plays something, pink fog comes out of her.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You want a piano where you can play and get pink fog?
Yeah, your
Okay,
question.
that sounds kind of neat. You've got a question.
How do you see all the fog?
how do you see all the fog? Well, sometimes you can't see too well with the fog. And fog's pretty tricky for me to predict and talk about. I kind of have to depend on other people seeing it and telling me where it is, because we don't see it too well on satellite pictures, and we can't see it on radar, but it's out there, and other people will let us know, hey, you know, it's really foggy over here, and that's how we can share that with people. Right next to it. You got a question?
Yeah. So how do you get the little beam to go in the air?
How do I get the little what to go on there?
The beam that goes in the sky?
Oh, the radar! Well, it sends a little beam out. It bounces off the raindrop. It comes back to the radar, and it plots it on a computer screen, and we can then just show that computer screen on TV. And I'll let you in on a little secret, and it's kind of you might already know this, but when you're watching me do the weather on TV, or anybody doing the weather on TV, if you were to walk in the studio, there is nothing behind us. It looks like when you're at home watching TV, it looks like there's maps behind us. But really behind us is a big blank green wall. And they take our picture in front of this blank green wall, and they can make it look like wherever the camera sees green, they can put another picture in it that usually comes out of a computer. So we can put the radar there, we can show the weather maps, we can make it look like I'm standing in Washington, D.C., and it's just another picture that they put behind us. But really, when I'm doing the weather, there's nothing back there but a big blank green wall. Kind of weird. Yes.
How do you know the weather?
How do I know the weather? I have help from other people who tell me what's going on right now, and then I have the help of math to predict the weather for the future. So what I do is I make an educated guess about what's going to happen the next couple of days.
What do you usually do in the office?
That's a good question. I come into my office in the morning, very early. And this is what I have to sit and look through when I first get into my office. I sit there and go, well, what's it going to be today? I kind of look and study, and it's going to snow today, it's going to rain today, and I write all my guesses. Here's today, and tonight, tomorrow, and the next 7 days. And that takes about an hour to do. And after I do that, then I sit down at a computer and I make all those maps that we show behind the weather person, because that's part of my job, is having something to talk about to show what I'm thinking that day. And that takes a couple of hours to make those. And about the time that gets done, we go on the air. 4:30 in the morning. So my question for you is, why do people even care what the weather forecast is? Why do people watch, and why do they care? Any idea? Why do they care?
Nobody else knows how many jobs you got.
How many jobs? Well, I got one big job, and in that big job, there's a bunch of little jobs. So why do people watch the weather?
Because they want to know it. Any day.
Yeah, they want to know what it's going to be today or any day. Any other reason?
They want to know if it's going to be cold or hot, or it's going to rain, or it's going to snow.
So they want to know, do I need a coat today? Can I wear my shorts? Do I need an umbrella today? So yeah, that's a reason why people watch.
They want to know if the kids, if the roads are icy, if the kids can get to school.
Yeah, they want to know all that too.
So maybe the school will cancel. So anybody doesn't get hurt.
Yeah. Do people care if there's going to be bad weather?
Yes.
Yes. Do people who are going out to play, do they care if there's going to be sunshine?
Yes.
If you've got a garden, do you care if it's going to rain today?
No. Yes.
Yes, you need some rain for your garden. So there's a lot of different reasons why people watch the weather. And so that's, kind of good for me, because they watch the weather and I got a job. We'll take a few more questions. You've got one. Do you have a question?
What kind of tools do you use?
I use a lot of computers, but I also use a thermometer, and thermometers measure the temperature. I use a barometer. That's kind of a big word. And barometer measures the pressure of the air, or you can think of it as the weight of the air. The air sometimes gets heavy and it pushes towards the ground. It makes the barometer rise. Sometimes it gets light and it rises up, makes clouds form, and it allows the barometer to fall. And I also use a rain gauge. That measures how much rain fell. And guess what we use to measure how much snow fell?
What?
We use a ruler. Or a yardstick, depending on how much snow we've had. You've got a question.
How early do you have to get up?
How old?
How early do you have to get up?
Oh, well, I'm at work at 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's when we're sleeping.
Yeah, you're sleeping. And so some of us have to be there working, so when you get up in the morning, you can find out what the weather's going to be like.
What do you do when you get there?
What do I do when I get there? Well, I study and do my forecast. Then I sit and draw maps on computers, so I kind of get paid to color pictures on computers. And then we go on the air and start doing the news, and every 10 minutes I have to come on and do the weather.
What kind of camera is
It's just a little video
It's
camera.
a video camera. We'll take a couple more questions, and then I'll pass out the test. Who hasn't asked? I don't think you've asked one yet. You have one?
How do you know
How do I know what the weather is? Well, I have the help of other people who observe it and share information with me. I also have the help of satellite pictures from space, and I got my radar that can see where there's rain and snow. So there's a lot of different ways I can know what it is. And who is our last lucky one? You remember? Go ahead.
How do you know what some space rocks are falling?
Space rocks are falling. You know what? That really doesn't involve me too much. But you would think somebody whose job is a meteorologist that he would know about meteors. But it's actually more astronomers who would know about them. Meteorologist actually means person who studies the sky, is what it means. So I study the sky, and an astronomer, he also studies the sky, but he's looking for big rocks that are falling down. So,
All right.
let me get a picture first,
Yeah. We'll get to
and then we'll let you take pictures. It'll be just like picture day for everybody.